under the circumstances, you know, we had this lockdown and all the business, so you never know what we can celebrate and what we can't celebrate. But you guys pulled something together for us, and we thank you for that. You know,
Cheers. Cheers.
Cheers, 50 years.
50 years.
Yeah, 50 years. 50 more.
Woo!
Dan Keller for president, Jody Keller for VP.
2020.
but anyway, you know, your mother and I's love story. I always love our love story, you know. But I don't know. Some of you may know, or we've talked about it, but it's kind of coincidence how your mother and I met. And it was a cold winter night in January 8, 1966, which is 54 and a half years ago. And she didn't want to go to the dance, and neither did I. But I had some roommates, and then in the thing, and one of the guys had a car. He said, let's go. So a bunch of other guys came along that I went to school with. So we went to this dance, and there I saw her on the dance floor. And I asked her for a dance, and for some reason we clicked, and I took her home that evening.
Wow.
And she took this totally stranger from Ohio, and she's a totally stranger from Williams Bay, Wisconsin. And so a lot of the story is history. And she was staying at an all-girls boarding house at the time. And so we spent the good amount. We didn't really date that often. We only, actually, the first 3 months, we only saw each other once a month, right?
That's because I was dating somebody else and you were too.
Oh, geesh.
Did you get that recorded,
The
please?
story thickens, and but by I don't know,
your
late
story's not that bad.
February or March, somewhere in there. It had to be February because it was 20 degrees below zero, and you and your sister invited us up, and all my roommates, we drove up on a Sunday, and you guys went out skiing that day.
Yeah.
20 below zero.
My boyfriend happened to be there too. So that was the end of that relationship, and this became my relationship.
Because you got caught.
But I remember her mother had a very beautiful meal. Her mother was a very fine cook for people that lived in the northern part of Chicago in Lake Forest. They're very wealthy before she got married. So that she learned how to cook, and that's where she gets a lot of her cooking talents from. So, but anyway, the story goes through the summer, and it was, I think the popular song that summer was Hot Time, Summer in the City. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And by September 9th, or September somewhere, I don't know the exact date, I proposed to her and gave her a diamond.
Chicago.
That was
On
9
Radcliffe
months,
Street.
that was 9 months actually later than we met. So that's,
Took me by surprise.
it was on Randolph and Wacker, right?
Mm-hmm.
I took you out to lunch, but I didn't do it there, so we did it out in the street, right?
Yes.
In the street.
Out in the
In
street.
Chicago.
Yeah.
In Chicago.
Yeah.
Downtown.
So, yeah. So then, you know, she worked, well, was you working for Blue Cross Blue Shield at that time?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
At the Marina Towers.
And then I got a job at Chicago Mercantile Exchange. And then at lunchtime, you would come and watch me work on the pork belly boards.
So he created the crash in the 19 whatever.
So yeah, so we spent a lot of time. We were talking earlier out here, in 1968 reminds us of the parallel times we're having now. You have to keep in mind the Vietnam War, Martin Luther King got killed, all those things.
Bobby Kennedy.
Bobby Kennedy. The Chicago Democrats had their convention in Chicago that year.
And lots of riots.
Lots of riots outside the Democratic convention. And if you notice that Nixon, or whoever was running that year lost, and Nixon took over and started closing the war down after that. But that's year before that is when I signed up for the Navy. Huh.
And I was encouraging him to be not National Guard, but Naval.
Yeah. So you get up.
So he wouldn't go to Vietnam. I didn't want him to go to Vietnam. I said, you just got it. Because otherwise there was the draft, and a lot of people were going to Canada or whatever they were doing just to get out of the war. I wanted them out of the war too, and so you did go over a little bit overseas though.
I went to the Philippines, yeah. As far as I didn't go into Vietnam because I didn't have a yellow fever shot. That's the only reason I didn't go into Vietnam. Yeah.
So that's our story.
That's our story. We're sticking to it.
Oh,
Of
cheers.
course, we have 5 wonderful children, and we have
The first 6 years of our marriage, 5 children. So Lindsay, I had it more than you did. But Lindsay was working, and I said I wasn't going to have a babysitter.
But you
I
had,
was gonna
you
be
had
a
a
mom.
trooper.
What's that?
Yeah,
You got a
you're the
trooper.
real hero.
Yeah. We both had the same amount of pregnancies.
Yeah, we did.
Well, actually, I had a miscarriage when I was 38.
So yeah, so we have the 5, and we have some wonderful spouses with those 5, and we have 10 grandchildren and 5 great grandchildren. So the family is growing from us 2.
Wow. That's awesome.
And brothers, thank you for coming.
Yeah, you're welcome, Dan. Thank you for inviting
Your
us.
loss.
Jill or whoever organized this. It's wonderful.
Clearly not me, because I can't get the invite straight.
And Jaffe, we wish you all the best luck on Monday.
Thank you. Thank you.
Here, here. Cheers.
Here, yay.
Yay.